to the newest episode of Jukebox 2, your favorite music podcast. My name is Jay Burritos. I'm your host of this thing, your master of millennial music, as you would call it. And I'm here to bring you another episode of your favorite music podcast, where we discuss music news, reviews, and conversation. That's Jukebox 2, baby. I would like to welcome you back to this show. I would like to thank you for taking a break from the SZA album. I know that I'm taking you away from what you'd rather be listening to, what you'd rather be doing. And I just appreciate the fact that you saw that notification on your phone, whether it was on YouTube or your favorite podcast app of choice. You saw that, hey, Jukebox 2 is available. What they talking about? And you hit that, you stopped yourself from listening to the SZA album, and you're here with me today. So I just want to thank you personally, Candy Boo, OG Buck Nasty, and everybody else who just took time away from listening to their music to come listen to me talk about music for a little while. I want to talk about how today's episode is going to be about Spotify Wrapped. The gift that Spotify gives us at the end of the year, where they take our data and they throw it back at us and sometimes embarrass us with the results. And I would like to talk mainly about that. That's going to be our main topic today. But I'd also just like to sit down and reflect how we're already at the end of the year. It just doesn't make any sense to me that we're already in the middle of December, that we're already in the midst of the end of another year. Like, this is our third year in the pandemic, right? And we're already at the end of it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just feels like December popped up on us and it's here and the year is over and we're already moving into a new year. And I'm just like, what did I do this year? What did I do last year? What did I do the year before that? Is anybody else feeling that feeling of just like, I know time is a construct, but is anybody feeling it being real extra constructy lately? Where it just feels like it doesn't mean anything. Like a day, a month, a year doesn't mean the same thing anymore. That's not the main topic. I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention because that's what I've been thinking about this whole time. I just cannot believe, I'm recording this episode on the 11th and it's coming out on the 12th. We are in December 12/12. Think about it. Think about it. I just love doing that for no reason. Anyway, like I said, today's main topic is basically about Spotify Wrapped. Before we get into my Spotify Wrapped personally and just the entire process, I do want to thank everybody for. I feel like y'all showed out on the last episode for sure. I got a lot more engagement in the comments and a lot more views than usual on last week's episode where we talked about the Sweet Yams, the song by Fetty Wap, but actually by Masego and Devin Morrison. But we ended up talking about that and y'all went crazy in the views and y'all went crazy in the comments. And I just want to say thank you. I'm not sure if that's supposed to encourage me to stay in my hater bag, because people that, know me, that follow me on Twitch, know that currently I'm in my hater era. Right now, my big thing, we're 2 weeks away from Christmas. And my big thing is that apparently, people hate that I hate The Grinch, the Jim Carrey movie. We don't have to talk about that right now. We can talk about that later. Trust me, I got content coming. But, I'm in my hater era right now. And I think it came together with the last episode talking about Fetty Wap and how that song really wasn't his and how I would give anything, including my leg. I'd give anything in the world to make it so he does not come back to the mainstream. And I don't know if y'all fuck with that and you want more of it, or I don't know if it was just a hot button topic. I don't know. But best believe I got many more things to hate on. And when those opportunities do arise, I will be sure to put my hater hat back on and get back in my bag, as the kids say, or as they used to say back in the day. I wouldn't know. I'm getting old. Anyway, y'all, Spotify Wrapped. So every single year, at least since 2018, I feel like Spotify has thrown our data back at us and said, hey, this is what you've been doing all year with your time. They've been making it a little fancier every year with the graphics and the motion. And now it's like a story, like an Instagram story, but it's actually in the app and you can take the screenshots and post them everywhere. And everybody knows, late November, early December, it's all you see on the timeline. If you got people on your timeline that are music heads, that all they do is talk about music, that's mainly all you see is the Spotify Wrapped stats. And lately, I believe Apple just started theirs. YouTube Music has one as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Pandora has one. But basically, it's one of those things that we're all very much like, a lot of us, I know myself included, are very much like Big Brother, data, how are you using my data against me type shit, you know, when we get those really, really weird and personalized ads. But this is one of my blind spots. I'm gonna be honest. I like it. Y'all know I love music, and I also love data, to be honest. And to have our personal data spat back out to us, and for it to have turned into like what looks like Spotify's most popular marketing campaign. It's probably one of music's biggest marketing campaigns ever. It's just some really cool shit to me, honestly. But the problem is, on a personal level, I haven't been able to actually look at accurate stats for my Spotify Wrapped for years. So I believe they just, like I said, they just started making it like the, you know, the big flashy graphics and sending you the email in the inbox like, hey, your Spotify Wrapped is ready. They just started doing that maybe a few years ago. And I got my dog Bino in 2018. And he's a Jack Russell Chihuahua. He's very yappy. He's a real, like, if people that have either one of those or both of those dogs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Them small to medium, like they talk a lot. They get mad at everybody. I mean, he's cute. People love him. He's got his people. I love him too, but he's a mess. And especially when we got him as a puppy, we got him at 4 months old, and we lived on the 3rd floor in the apartment complex that we stayed in. And I promise you, just like every single sound, whether it was like a bird outside, like hitting a tree, or like somebody walking up the steps, every single little sound would just like throw him off. So basically, we got Google Homes. Yeah, I brought the smart speakers in my house to listen to me. Here I am talking about data and Big Brother, and I got a Google Home in my house. But anyway, we got a Google Home, and at night I would play the Coffee Table Jazz playlist on Spotify to just like have something in the background that's not, you know, like The Fan or whatever. So that way he won't be distracted by like all the sounds that he hears outside. So basically, my Spotify Wrapped, and I've been playing Coffee Table Jazz for him at night for years. So my Spotify stats had always been fucked up until this year. This is the first year where the entire year I stopped doing the Coffee Table Jazz stuff around him like last year, where we moved to where we're at right now. Because like at this point, he don't really bark as much. He getting older. I think he's getting some discernment, or at least he's getting too lazy to be barking as often as he used to. I don't know, but he don't do it as much, so I don't have to like leave music on in the background for him. So this is the first year in a long time where my Spotify Wrapped is actually accurate. That being said, when I looked at my data spat back to me, again, the data that I put into Spotify, this is the music that I supposedly spent my time with. When I looked at it given back to me, I was somewhat appalled. Now, if you're watching the video, I'm gonna put the graphic on the screen so you can just see it all at once. But I'm also gonna talk about it line by line. I've got the basically the overall graphic that tells you your top artists, your top 5 artists, your top 5 songs, how many minutes you've listened to music on Spotify, and your top genre. And I just want to discuss some of my results and talk about how we got here. And also, I feel like I want to take the opportunity to talk about some of these songs and some of these artists, because I haven't had the opportunity to talk about some of what is on my list. I can't really say I'm all that upset with how it turned out, because first of all, it's what I did. I can't be mad at me. I mean, you can be mad at yourself all the time, but like, I'm not really mad at myself. Like the big thing that I can't say a problem with, but my top artist, my number 1 artist is Kendrick Lamar. We're gonna talk more about that next week, but I'm gonna get into it a little bit. But anyway, I'm going all over the place. So it says the minutes that I've listened to music this year on Spotify, 34,040 minutes. So if I'm gonna do a quick little calculation, let's go minutes to hours. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go 34,040. That's 567 hours. Okay, now if we take hours, day, 567.333. Okay, 23.6 days worth of music. So almost a month, you know, like three and a half weeks worth of music. I guess on Spotify, that's not too bad. I feel like I've been watching a lot more podcasts. I've been listening to a lot more stuff on YouTube. So I guess that makes sense. That makes sense. It's not as high as a number as I expected. My top genre being rap, I can understand that too. A lot of my top artists, which we'll get to in a minute, are rappers, and I did listen to a lot of rap albums this year that I really enjoyed. So I'm not arguing that one. Let's go to top songs, and I'm gonna start with number 5. My number 5 top song, according to my data, is "Walking" by Denzel Curry off of "Melt My Eyes, See Your Future." I don't think that I've had the opportunity to talk about that Denzel Curry album yet. I'm pretty sure I haven't reviewed it yet. But it's probably it is one of my favorite rap albums this year, if not the favorite. Question mark is like maybe one or two other albums that kind of fight there. But anyway, "Melt My Eyes, See Your Future." Like I have honestly, like, I have enjoyed Denzel Curry's like last 2 or 3 projects in particular, like, but this one takes the cake for me. It is like a perfect blend of like jazz, crazy weirdo rap, also like fun shit, posse cuts. Like, it's just a really good, but like "Walking," honestly, all of the singles on "Melt My Eyes, See Your Future" are a standout. But like when I heard that song, I freaked the fuck out. Like, you know me, I'm an album person, so I like listening to stuff. You know, I heard the Melt Session #1, which is the intro with him and Robert Glasper. It was going in. I love that song, and it just like, and you know I love my transitions, and it sequences right into "Walking," and it starts off real slow. And I would literally be on a walk, like at my last job, listen to this song, and when it changes, "Keep on walking, ain't no stopping in this dirty, filthy, rotten." I was like, oh, I said, oh boy, Denzel Curry snapping, bro. Denzel Curry snapping. I love that song. I love that song to death. So well placed, number 5. My number 4 song is "Break My Soul" by Beyonce, which again, warranted, totally makes sense. I mean, it's the single from the album. So before the album actually came out, I did play that song a lot. When I first heard it, I was like, you know, we all had the same feeling. A lot of us were a little more like, hope the whole album ain't like this. But now look at us now. Now look at us eating more Renaissance. Now look at us eating. It's great. It's great. "Break My Soul," don't have to say much about that. My number 3 song was "Dog Food" featuring Denzel Curry by IDK. He used to go by JIDK, but he has this EP out with Kaytranada called Simple. And that shit is fire. It is so good. IDK can rap his ass off. Like I think I've become a recent fan. Like I remember seeing commercials for his music on, like, for his mixtapes on Adult Swim at one point. And then I also remember the guys from Dead End would talk about him every now and then. So I got into him with his like last couple albums, but this EP, you know, you put Kaytranada on anything, sign me up all day. And I heard "Dog Food" was again the single from that EP, which is, again, if you have not heard it, that shit is crazy. And Denzel Curry is on that as well, rapping his fucking ass off. It's so good. It's so good. And I expected that one to be, not number 3 makes sense. I expected that one to be in my top 3, so I wasn't too mad at it. My number 2 song, I expected to be my number 1 song, and I'm a little confused by that. This is what I'm saying. Something ain't right here. My number 2 song was "Sunshine" by Steve Lacy featuring Fouché. That Steve Lacy album is in my top 3. Spoilers for my end of the year discussion video. It is so good. It is so good. I know that he's become like a TikTok star, and people are saying that he's a diva because he be at the shows telling people to shut the fuck up. But goddamn, listen. I have been a Steve Lacy fan since the internet. Like, "Ego Death" is probably my favorite internet album, which I feel like he was like first featured on a lot. And then his solo work, like the demo tape and the lo-fi tape, Apollo, like he's been working on like Kendrick's albums and like just all kinds of other stuff. He's got that like very distinct way of playing and distinct sound to where, like, the same way that I know, oh, that's Thundercat on the bass. The same way that I know that that's Thundercat on something, I can tell when Steve Lacy's on something even before I see that he's been credited to something. So anyway, "Sunshine" is, I know the big song on Gemini Rights is "Bad Habit." And don't get me wrong, that song is amazing. It's great, deserves to be, the number 1 song that it is. But "Sunshine" is the song that I ran into the fucking ground. Okay? Like, I went ham on that song. Like, I'm still honestly flabbergasted that it's not my number 1 song. The number 1 song on my list came out of nowhere because I truly forgot how much of a grip this song had. And this song didn't even come out this year, y'all. Like, everything on this list came out this year except for this last song. All right. My number 1 song on my list is "FUCK" by Victoria Monet. And Lord, the grip that this song had on me this year. I love Victoria Monet. She I originally came to know her as Ariana Grande's friend. I remember, my wife Danny went to Ariana Grande concert with Kim, and Victoria Monet opened like way before she had like music out. Like this is before Jaguar. I think it was back in like 2017 or whatever. But they came home, and I remember them specifically. They were telling me like, yeah, she had this opener. I guess it was maybe one of her friends, but she really didn't have no stage presence, and she was singing other people's songs or something like that. And I remember they said Victoria Monet, and then I remember. Before Jaguar came out, it was the song with her and Ariana on it, Monopoly, and that shit was catchy as hell to the point where like Danny would be playing that shit all the time, and I'll be looking at her like, didn't you tell me that this was the girl that you said you didn't like that wasn't very good? Like, what's happening? I fuck with this song too. Then I heard Jaguar, and I was like, this ain't nah. You must have been talking about somebody else. It must have been Victoria Monet, like spelled like Janelle Monáe, not E.T., not Monet, but Monet. Anyway. Jaguar is heat. I'm still waiting on I thought we were supposed to be getting the deluxe edition this year, and I would have expected this song to be on it, but I cannot tell you how I came across this song. I think it was like an algorithm thing. Like I was listening to or put together a playlist this year, and this song came in my feed, and I said, when she said, "Is your favorite color blue? 'Cause you something like my kryptonite." I said, like that line is so smooth. That line is so smooth, man. I love that. I love a good cheesy, corny R&B acronym song like fucking BUDDY by Musiq Soulchild, or Battery Operated Buddy by Raheem Devon. You know what I'm saying? Like I love a good like cheesy acronym. But like this is not. It's sexy. That's one thing I love about Victoria Monet's music. And like I also forgot that this was the song, because everybody knows like that viral clip. If I can find it, I'll embed it in the video. But like everybody remembers that viral clip of like Victoria Monet doing some real bisexual shit on stage with somebody, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" Like we was all like, clutching our pearls. This was the song. FUCK was the song, and I didn't put two and two together until I went back and found that clip, and I was like, "Oh, duh." That song is so good, so good, and I love a song that breaks down and turns into something different in the second half. Goddamn, Victoria Monet, stop playing with us. Give us the deluxe of Jaguar, or give us whatever the next thing is. I need it. I'll be at the concert. The song had a hold on me. I don't listen to it as much anymore, I'll be honest. But the Lord, Okay, those are my top 5 songs. We got Walking by Denzel Curry, Break My Soul by Beyonce, Dog Food by IDK, Sunshine by Steve Lacy, and FUCK by Victoria Monet. My top 5 artists, and this is where, again, okay, let's just start off the bat. I'm ashamed and honestly appalled to see that Beyonce is not on my top 5. I don't know. I know I had that whole episode about Renaissance. It is still my album of the year, which is, again, I don't understand how she didn't at least crack the top 5, but maybe I was listening to it offline. Maybe I was listening to it on Danny's phone. I'm not sure. But I know that I've listened to this album more than like a good bit of what's on my top 5. But anyway, I digress. This is the part where the payola might have came in. Number 5, not this first one, because number 5 makes sense. Number 5 on my top artist is Uyama Hiroto, which, if you're familiar with Nujabes back in the day, R.I.P., one of my favorite producers from back in the day. He worked a lot with Nujabes back in the day, played a lot of, what's that instrument? Soprano sax. But he played a lot with him, and he has his own solo work that I really enjoy. And the same way that I listen to Nujabes in the background, whenever I'm just like working or I'm in like deep focus mode, I listen to Uyama Hiroto's last couple albums. And he came out with some new singles this year too that are actually really good. So if you haven't listened to his music, my favorite albums are A Son of the Sun and Freeform Jazz are both like just absolutely amazing. Freeform Jazz, I literally just put on. I just let that shit run sometimes. Like it's very much removed from Nujabes' style and is more just like straight up jazz. It does still have some of that like Nujabes like hip hop jazz flair to it for sure, but it's just really fucking good. But anyway, so that one I guess makes sense. Number 4 on my top artist is Jasmine Sullivan, which I was surprised by. I'm not gonna lie. Number 4. Okay, so to explain this, she came out with a deluxe edition of her album, Hotel. She came out with Hotels, Motels, with like 6, 7 new songs. It was basically like a double album. She had new interludes on it. She had new songs like Hurt Me So Good and Tragic. And it was really, I just found the regular edition this year, and I'm ashamed to say that. I just started listening to the regular edition of Hotels like early January, and then she literally announced the deluxe edition like maybe a few weeks after that, and I was just like, wait, and then Issa Rae starts it off, and all of the songs are like, it's not one of those like, oh, these are my B-sides, here you go. Like the songs are really fucking good, and I'm just like, yo, she can sing, she can literally sing about anything. To me, because her voice is so strong, and like the imagery is really good, the interludes and like the tales like really add to the depth of the album itself. Like it's really fucking good. So that album also definitely had a hold on me for a while. Like I was floored for a minute, and especially like once she started winning awards and everything, I was oh yes. You know me, I love when is it me? Let me know in the comments. But like when your favorite artist wins awards, do you listen to their albums more to kind of like be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? This the album of the year. This the song of the year. You know, I feel like I do that sometimes. But if I'm alone on an island like that, if I'm just lame, let me know in the comments. So anyway, yeah, Jasmine Sullivan being my number 4 artist, like I get it. I'm not upset. I get it. And the album is really good. My number 3 artist being Denzel Curry. After everything that I just said about the top songs just now and about his album Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, not a surprise. Totally get that. Expected it. Like I said, the album definitely had a grip on me. The albums that come out early in the year usually have an advantage anyway when it comes to these lists. And I think Denzel Curry's album came out in February or March. It was pretty early in the year. Okay, my number 2 artist, which honestly I'm surprised none of their songs came up in my top songs, but Earth Gang being my number 2 artist definitely makes sense because if people that remember my Ghetto Gods review, which was I believe the last review that I did live before we started doing the weekly episodes like this, if you haven't watched that one, definitely go back and watch my Ghetto Gods review. But I still stand by the fact that like that album was made for me. Like I know I say that on a personal level because like I said, I grew up and like was in the same neighborhoods as the people that like the people in Earth Gang, but like it truly like that album resonated with me on a personal level. Like it wasn't just the places that they were mentioning or like the themes of it, just like growing up, like toxic masculinity and like trying to growing out and becoming your own person and like forging your own way. I mean, we hear that kind of stuff in rap all the time for sure. It's not necessarily it's literally just the way, like only those 2 guys could do what they did on the album. And it's rare that I think we hear people kind of talk about a lot of the same topics a lot in music and rap. And I think it takes a special kind of sauce to make an album that like hits on all of the hits and the points, but also like resonates on a personal level and also brings in and like makes other people who can relate to it in a certain way, like feel like, oh, I'm there, I'm with you on that. Like that album, Ghetto Guys is special. It is a special album. It won't get the recognition that it deserves until maybe much later. I feel like, I saw a lot of people, Earth Gang was sharing a lot of people that had Earth Gang and JID in particular in like their top 1%, their top 01, they're in Dreamville, so they have a fervent fan base for sure. But I feel like we've got enough evidence at this point to start including Earth Gang more seriously in these conversations of like, they doing their damn thing when it comes to like Atlanta rap. And I don't hear it enough personally, to be honest. And Ghetto Gods was just it was a standout album on a lot of levels for me. So I'm not surprised by that one. Not surprised by that one at all. My number 1 artist is Kendrick Lamar. And honestly, that's a bit controversial for me. Because people may have noticed I haven't talked much about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers this year. That's obviously, that album is why it's at the top of my list, is because I have apparently played that album so much that Beyonce never made it to the top 5 artists. That I played that album so much that it beat off Earth Gang, which I thought would have been my number 1 album. I thought Earth Gang would have been my top artist, to be honest, and I was excited to share that. But apparently Kendrick Lamar and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers in particular had a grand hold on me. Now, I will say, before I get, and I'm not going to get into a full review right now, what I am, because I want this episode to be mainly about the Spotify raps, and I want to talk about how my rap is making me look a little sus, but this is also a springboard for me to talk about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which I will fully review and discuss next week on Jukebox 2. But for now, I do want to say, like, I enjoyed it, but it's not something that I ever rush back to. every time that I think about the album, I play it in full again, and I stop, and I'm just like, it was good, but like, when is the next time I'm gonna do this again? But like in the very beginning, when the album first came out, and matter of fact, before the album came out, when the single, The Heart Part 5 came out, and I played, I mean, I know on YouTube, that's probably my most played video because I played that song into the fucking ground. But then eventually when he put it on the album for Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers as the last song, I'm sure that probably contributes to why he's my top artist. But also, I forgot where I was going with that point, so you're gonna have to forgive me on that one. I got lost. Oh, I was talking about how the numbers could have got up. When the album first came out, we all have listened to it, right? We all know how strange it is in a lot of ways that, like I said, I'm gonna get more into next week. And it doesn't lend itself to easy listening. It is not that Kendrick is a master of easy listening music to begin with, even though I think Damn did a very good job of like just making music you can just have in the background and like listen to. But he's not the king of like easy listening in the first place. But like this album is very, very tough in a lot of ways. And it doesn't lend itself to playing over and over and over again. But what I will say is, in an effort to like fall in love with the album, I can see a world, and clearly the data is saying that this world is the real world. I can see a world where I play the album in order to try and get it to click better. So like I'm playing it over and over and over again. Like, why is this not coming together yet? Yeah, I really like United in Grief. N95 is good, but like it's a lot in the middle that like I don't like and I could do without. I'm doing it right now. And anyway, my number one album, my number one artist was apparently Kendrick Lamar, and I think it was because of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Even though I struggle to say that I liked the album, I'm still like, I don't want there to be any misconception when I'm telling you right now that on my Spotify Wrapped, Kendrick made it to my number one. And when we get 2 weeks from now, when we talk about the end of the year list, I really don't. I just have to be honest. I don't see this album making my top 10. So I don't want there to be any confusion about that, which is why we're going to talk about the album next week. Because I feel like I have to discuss this, how it made it to my number one artist. He's like on the cover of my Spotify Wrapped graphic. It's crazy to me. He must have paid somebody off. I can't tell you. The system is rigged. TDE, or I guess actually he's not signed on TDE anymore. PG Lane, they did something. I can't tell you what it is. Anyway, that's basically my whole Spotify Wrap right there. Let me know what your Spotify Wrap looked like in the comments below. What I really want to know is how you feel about your Spotify Wrap. You can give me your top 5 or whatever you want to say, but like, tell me when Spotify fed your data back to you, how did it make you feel when you took a look at it? Were you embarrassed like I was? Were you happy? Like, oh yeah, was it all just Beyonce, Drake, and you were just cool with it? Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you got into. All right. So what I want to get in the habit of, I know I said this a few episodes ago, but I'm gonna, get back to it now, is every week, I'm encouraging y'all to leave comments on the YouTube video in the comment section. And a lot of y'all, like I said, last week for the, for the Sweet Yams episode, definitely, gave me some hilarious, I was dying laughing, Unicorny Kai, Young Soul Brother, Trazzy K, y'all were killing me in particular in the comments. But one comment that I wanted to save for after the main topic, and I'll get to right now, was something of more, it was less of a comment and more of like a really good question that I feel like I would have left like a whole paragraph for them, in a whole essay really, in the comments. So I'd rather just bring it to the show as a question. And I want to encourage you all, while you're leaving your comments, let me know how you felt about the episode or like what you want to hear next. I want to encourage you to also leave more detailed and maybe open-ended questions like this. And then I can have maybe more of like a question and answer section at the end of a main topic, trying to bring a little more structure to the show. I know people appreciate structure, consistency, and all that. So I appreciate y'all. But anyway, last week's comment that I'm going to discuss today was from Alex Rodriguez. And he says, what's up, Jay Burritos? I was watching the 21 and Drake episode, and you mentioned how jaded you were by the direction of how the music industry moves in. I'm curious to know, what is the biggest thing that makes you feel this jaded feeling? Now, I don't remember exactly what I said in that episode, but I can guess my general sentiment, because I know between between the 21 and Drake, I mean, between the Drake shots at Megan and Kanye's whole like Nazi anti-Semitism shit that he's been on right now, like it's just been real exhausting. So I can imagine that like in general, I was just like, this is making me feel just jaded in general. But maybe I'm pointing. I wanna like clarify your question and say that like I don't think I like what I'm upset about isn't necessarily just a reflection of the music industry itself. Like the music industry has been fucked since probably the very beginning of it, to be honest. Like it's all that our favorite rappers were rapping about back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s. And I mean, even today about how like deals are fucked. I mean, we see articles all the time. Like I'm not surprised that the music industry is corrupt, that people do deals and pay money to get into rooms, that people close off and gatekeep and give access to certain people, even though certain people don't deserve certain access. You know, like that is run of the mill stuff for me. That's not really what's making me upset. More specifically, what makes me jaded about like just music in general is like seeing a lot of different things happen to a lot of my favorite artists. To be honest, like I just spoke on Kanye's last 2 months. To be clear, and I know Diogen, because you give me shit for like not really clarifying my position on this. It's fuck Kanye West. Like it's been like I know I in that last episode, it may have seemed that I was being a bit more sympathetic towards him, but I was just trying to like show that I understand where pain comes from. I do not agree with any goddamn thing that he has said, truthfully, in like the last 6 years. It's been a long time. But that, you know, we all process what we go through a little differently, and I just choose not to go down the Hitler was a good guy route when it comes to dealing with my grief and pain. That's just not where I want to go with it. Don't respect that. Don't agree with it. Fuck the guy. But that's that, you know, even that is a big part of like seeing the thing that I try to get people to understand in that episode in particular is like the pain and the grief that comes with, I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that. If you are one of the people that's like, it's easy to just like, not that it's easy, but just like, okay, once such and such does something that's like, okay, you've gone over the line. Okay, fuck them, I'm out. Great. I definitely have that line that I draw with certain people, certain things, but like, it's not an exaggeration to say that man is my entry into hip hop. Like he's part of the reason why I am so passionate about talking about music in general, why I love the samples that I love, the producers that I love. Like it's not an exaggeration to say any of that. So the pain, the jadedness, the cynicism comes from like seeing my favorite artists, not even just, again, not singling in on Kanye, but seeing my favorite artists get older and become literal Nazis and become black capitalists and black conservatives, to pretend like they're actually like about this militant shit, but then actually they're just like talking a big talk and really just behind the scenes, like doing whatever they got to do to keep money in their pocket. You know what I mean? Like when you get older and also your other artists get older, and as people get older, for some reason they tend to skew more conservative in the first place. Like the more money you get, the more removed you are from actual society, the more you just become this monster of a person that somehow doesn't recognize. I don't recognize who a lot of my favorite artists are anymore, to be honest. And that's part of like seeing that happen in real time is what makes me like, not only does it make me feel old, it just makes me feel upset. You know what I mean? Like now I don't even feel comfortable going back to a lot of these artists' music anymore because it just doesn't hit the same. Like I'm not one of those. I thought I used to be one of those separate the art from the artist kind of people, but I'm just getting too old for that shit now. Like I can't listen to my favorite rap song in the world is We Major. I can't listen to that man at all anymore without thinking about everything that's been going on and just being frustrated, and I can't literally enjoy the music anymore. You know, not to mention, like I said, the whole Drake line with the Meg Thee Stallion. I just feel like, in general, there are people in the music industry that are just like playing with her. And I mean, I know. The matter of fact, this episode is coming out on the day I believe the Tory Lanez trial is starting today. And this episode is coming out, and as I put this out, who knows what the hell is going on the internet right now. But I already see, I mean, the fact that man even still has a fan base after 2.5 years later, after all of that happening, after Meg has come out and said that she was protecting him at first, that like she was trying to keep it chill until he started popping off. And, you know, I feel like I have seen in real time that like there are people that like are truly only his fans because of the fact that he says that he shot her and claims to be innocent. Like that's literally their only reason. They're only fans of that guy to hate on her, and that's just fucking weird to me. The fact that literally the biggest artist, like the biggest rap / pop artists of a generation in Drake can just like casually and callously drop a line like he did in Circo Loco, and literally, like I said, nothing happened is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like when album time comes around, when it's time for him to drop his next solo album, or when he features on somebody's next album, he's gonna either get, he's gonna get the same type of praise that he's been getting. Either like Drake's got to, people are gonna be like, oh, his music sounds tired of the same, or like there's not really gonna be any punishment, isn't the word, but just like there's no consequence for what happens to her, like and Meg still has to like release her album and do a press tour. And her press tour, like for the last 2.5 years, has basically all just been about this, because it's such a big part of her life. I mean, she even had to like put it in the music, and in the interviews, like, but she just can't seem to have no peace. And I just hope that this trial wraps up real quick and people are, no one's gonna apologize. No one's gonna, you know what I mean? Like there won't be a collective like, damn girl, we did you wrong. And that's another big part of like what has me just upset in general. But yeah, I'm also just not, Alex, to be fair, I'm in a much more negative place than maybe I was 5 or 6 years ago, just from things happening in my life. I'm a lot better now, like, doing the show and talking with y'all. Like, I'm definitely making progress, and I'm in a much better place than I could say I was in maybe like last year. But in general, my attitude towards just like hoping that things will change and get better and people will be held accountable is just very, very low. Like, it's just, I'm fresh out of like hope at this point for a lot of things, because again, it took decades for us to put R. Kelly behind bars. And apparently while he was behind bars, he still found the time to release an album. You know what I mean? Like, people were sharing on Twitter being like, and there's still people on the internet going free R. Kelly that are not being funny. Like, they're not trolls on 4chan. Like, these are people's aunties and grandpas, like, and people that just literally like, I don't give a fuck about what he did to them people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, it's not specifically the music industry. It's really humanity. If I'm being honest, like, humanity fucking sucks. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but like COVID, like the pandemic has revealed a lot. Like, people just really don't give a shit about a lot of stuff. And I, being the hopeful, optimistic, naive person that I am, I tend to skew. I give everyone, a lot of people, too much rope. I give people the benefit of the doubt, a lot of that. And I'm starting to see that, like, you got to be kind of selective with your grace a little bit. You also got to be honest about the state of the world, man. I'm telling you, most people can't read. Most people are illiterate. They have no critical thinking skills. They're easily swayed, and it's easy to forget a lot of that when you put your hope and faith in people doing the right thing. So, anyway, hope that answers your question. I didn't feel like putting all of that into a comment, but hopefully that answers your question, Alex. And I want to encourage you to leave more comments like that, because I enjoyed answering your question. Yes. So as a recap, thank you for listening to today's episode. I want to remind you that this podcast thrives off of engagement. I personally thrive off of engagement. Whenever I see my podcast shared, whenever I post that clip on Twitter and I see y'all quote tweet it and just share my show around and talk about it, I really do appreciate it. Shout out to Radio Raheem in particular. Radio Raheem started doing his streams again, and he actually was talking about one of my episodes in real time on his stream, which is like fucking surreal to me. Like, he even asked me on Twitter, like, hey, would this be okay if and you don't ever have to do that. Like, whatever shares my content, as long as you're not straight up like biting my shit, you can talk about what I'm talking about. You can talk about me. I don't care. Please share me everywhere. I'm saying. So, like, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, everywhere, Jay Burritos. This podcast, Jukebox 2, Jukebox TWO, is on every podcast service. I'm trying to drop more consistently, even though I took last week off. But I'm here, and I got the next 2 episodes planned, so expect to see me soon. And like I said, next week we'll be talking about Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And after that, we'll close out the year with my top 10 albums of the year. And I was committed to, at first I was like, I'm not going to put them in any order except number 1 and number 2. And I just feel like that's fucking dumb. So I'm just going to put them all in order. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. And we're going to talk about them from top to bottom. I mean, from bottom to top. And we're just gonna have a good time. So yeah, again, follow me everywhere at jburritos. Please leave a comment. Let me know how you felt about the podcast, how you felt about your Spotify Wrapped, what you want to see next week, and I will talk to you next week. Peace.